Hi, I'm Michelle Vaccarello, Senior Digital Editor of Pharmaceutical Manufacturing and PharmaQBD.com, and I'm here today in Tipperary, Ireland with Jim Kernan, who's the Joint Managing Director at PharmaFlow. Jim, thanks so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, PharmaFlow provides a range of flexible filling and packaging options. Who's your target clientele in the pharma industry?
Well, we really have two types. The first and probably most important at the moment are those clients that are outside of the European Union who wish to move product into Europe and are faced with the challenge of multiple languages and multiple presentations in the European market, particularly if they come from a country that's originally a single or maybe one or two languages, such as the US or Brazil or China indeed. So these companies are faced with a single point of entry requirement, a need to do QP testing or QC release testing and QP release. And then they're faced with the distribution challenges around the European market as well. So in that context, we provide a sort of a single point of entry for those companies, a landing platform, so to speak, that will provide a single location where they can send in bulk materials. We will do the localization, the finishing and packaging off of those materials, and do all of that release in each of the different languages for each of the different European markets, very efficiently, obviously, by doing it in one location. That's one type. The other type then would be those companies that would have large product portfolios, but within that portfolio there'll be a high degree of fragmentation of smaller products. When you try to bring efficiencies to that sort of an environment, you often find it most beneficial to separate out those larger volume products from the smaller volume products. And then we look after that smaller volume product for those customers and leaving them to gain the real efficiencies then on the main lines, the main runners.
Okay, now you have emphasized flexible production lines. Can you offer any best practices on how important it is to be flexible in your manufacturing?
It's absolutely essential, particularly when you're dealing with a fragmented environment. The ability to be able to respond and solve problems quickly across many, many different presentations or different ways of actually delivering the product in the case of personalized medicines for very specific types of markets. Flexibility is key. And not only flexibility in terms of how you deliver the solution, but also the ability to find solutions to those problems. And that requires a flexibility of thinking and ability to be able to find an answer to a client's problem. And we specialize in that. That's our forte, really.
Okay, and what trends have you seen in contract manufacturing for the smaller, mid-sized batches?
It's an emerging market, and interestingly, it's been driven on the one hand by what you find in the pharmaceutical area in terms of growth in geographical markets that companies are now trying to service and all the fragmentation that goes with that. But equally well, and interestingly, it's also coming from the other side, from the natural healthcare market, because that's a market which is typically characterized by fragmented products. But at the same time, you have a growing requirement for GMP compliance within that market sector. So suddenly we find ourselves with a facility here in PharmaFlow which is designed originally for the pharmaceutical niche small batch manufacturing, but equally well ideally suited for the natural healthcare products because it already has that GMP certification. And
how important is the concept of localization in the final stages of fill and finish?
Well, it's the critical area in many ways because, as we all know, the statistics out there to show that, 70 or so % of reasons for recalls are to do with packaging. It's, labeling errors and packaging errors can be really critical. So from a contract manufacturing perspective, being able to provide a sure-footed solution to that final localization step is critical in any relationship between a manufacturer and his outsourced contract partner. It's absolutely vital.
And why should companies look to Ireland for their contract manufacturing needs?
Well, it's very interesting. Ireland is, obviously it's English speaking, so for many of our clients that's a huge advantage. But equally well, we're positioned on the doorstep of Europe. Most of the companies that are operating here now in Ireland have had many decades at this stage of experience of working with American multinationals, European multinationals, and indeed multinationals now from India and China as well. So there's a depth of experience here. That's the first thing that I would say, that we know how to find solutions to problems because of that experience. At the same time, you have a proximity to the European markets, the major European markets, and because of very well developed distribution channels from Ireland, we can move product quickly and safely to the various locations and distribution points within the European Union. Clearly, also there's an advantage, a financial incentive to operate in Ireland, and to move your sales through Ireland brings with it the advantages of some financial benefits in terms of lower tax on profits on sales, which in turn is a very, very good way of generating a marketing budget from a cheap tax dollar for further development of your European market. So they're just some of the reasons. I think also there's a work ethic here that says if it can be solved, we'll do it. That's the essence of the Irish spirit, and I think that's worked for us so far.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. Thank you.